Sky so blue, the grass so green, the rank and file and the navy blue, deep and strong, straight and true. The blue line, they got the given sign. The belts and boots march forward in time. The wood and leather, the club and shield, swept like a wave across the battlefield. Now with all the clarity of dream, the blood so red, the grass so green, the gleam of spare on a chestnut flank, the cavalry did burst upon the ranks. Oh, the iron will and the iron hand in England's green and pleasant land. No music for the shameful scene. That night they said it had even shocked the Queen. Well, alas, we've seen it all before. Knights in armor, days of yore. Same old fears and the same old crimes. We haven't changed since ancient times. Hey guys, great to see you, and thanks so much for joining me for this lesson. I've really been looking forward to bringing this one to you. The song's called Iron Hand and it's by Dire Straits. Some of you may already be familiar with the song. And I think there's a lot that we can take away from this song in the way of technique and lots of other areas as well. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this lesson. Now, as you're probably already aware, I grade my lessons from easy to intermediate and on to advanced. Now, this would definitely fall into the intermediate category. But what's important to realise with all of my lessons is that, irrespective of how they're graded, there's still something that we can always take away from some of these lessons, whatever our level of playing is. Okay, so even if you're a beginner, I don't want you to be put off by the fact that, you know, this lesson I'm calling, say, intermediate, right? Because as I'm going to point out to you along the way, there's always something we can take away. All right, so please do watch them through, and I'm sure that you will come away with something that may help you develop as a guitar player. Okay, so let's get straight into this one and break it down and take a look to start with the chords and how we play the chords, more importantly, because it's a little bit different to what we're ordinarily used to probably. So we're going to play a B minor, but we're going to play it like this. Now, that may well be how you're used to playing a B minor, like this, right? But you'll notice that my hand position is more up at the wrist here. It's not your typical dropped wrist position for a bar chord, all right? And there's good reason for that, which we'll touch on as we go through the lesson, all right? So we're playing this B minor like this, and we're wrapping our thumb over the top to play this bass note, this F sharp, right? So that's the first chord we really need to get comfortable with. And that in itself may take a little bit of time because it's a new thing, right? Now, our second chord is going to be an A major. And you'll be familiar if you've watched my lessons before that this is generally how I play an A major, unless I need to play the bottom string, right? So that's an A major. That's what we're going to use, right? And the chords are up there as well, so you can see those. Now, we've also got an E minor, which is a fairly standard open chord, right? And we've got an F sharp minor, but we're playing that again in a different way, okay? So rather than playing it in a typical position like that, you might be used to an F sharp minor, we're playing it again with this kind of raised wrist position, right? So this index finger is barring the bottom 3 strings. It looks like 4, and in fact, you know, I'm just covering that 4th string because it's just easier. And then we've got the 4th and 5th strings on the 4th fret, and with again our thumb wrapped over the top. Okay, so they're the chords: B minor, A major, E minor, F sharp minor. All right, so let's take a look at what's happening with the bass strings for each chord. So when we're playing the B minor, we're going to play 5, 6, 5, 6. All right, anytime we play a B minor, that's what we're going to be doing. When we move to the A chord, we're just going to be playing the 5 string. When we go to the E minor, we're going to be playing 6 and 4. Same with the F sharp minor, right? We're just going to be playing the 6 and 4 again. And when we play the F sharp minor, we only play that chord kind of for like 1 beat, so it's like 6, 4, and then it's back to the B minor, 5, 6, right? So they're the bass notes that we play for each of the chords. Right, now just quickly want to touch on why we're playing these chord shapes the way we are. You might ask, well, why can't we play the B minor like this and the F sharp minor like that? Well, the reason is that when we play the lick, right, and those chord changes, this position lends itself far, far better. Because if we were to play this, I'm not saying it's not doable. What I'm saying is, if you were to try and play it like in a traditional bar sense with the dropped wrist, we'd be playing. Well, you can't really pull off with a bar, right? Which is what we need to do for the actual lick. So there are lots of ways in which this is very cumbersome and difficult to play in this sense, as well as when we're changing all the chords and things. Now, that's not to say it can't be done, okay? Never say never and things, but there's just things that you can't really do, like a pull-off in this position, for example. It kind of sounds very close, but it's not quite the same. So I'll leave that with you. As I say, there's very, very good reason for doing it this way. And in fact, when I saw Mark Knopfler play this live, this is exactly how he played it. So, you know, if he does it this way, there must be good reason, right? And, you know, even if I hadn't seen him, I probably would have wound up with doing something similar myself. All right, so that's what we need to do. Now then, we've got the kind of bass down, simple bass. We know where we're going with all of that kind of thing. Now what I'd like to take a look at is the actual brush which happens. Now this is a technique that many guitar players use, and one specifically that Mark Knopfler does very, very nicely. And when you get good at doing this, it can be a really nice technique to use in many of your, you know, arrangements, many songs that you're learning and things like that. And this is what I was saying earlier on about there being something that beginners can take away from these kind of perhaps more intermediate to advanced lessons. It's always a little technique that you can work on behind the scenes, which will bring you closer to being able to play a song like this. So let's take a look now at the bass line with the brush. Okay, so we'll just stay with the kind of B minor chord to start with, right? And remember that counting is your friend. Whenever you're trying to ascertain where all the chords fall, well, counting will really help you do that, right? So the brush, we have, as we know, it's 5 and 6 in the bass for the B minor. So we got bass, brush, bass, brush, bass, brush, bass, brush. And we start doing this real slow, because you'll find that we don't want a death grip on the on this chord here as well. Whenever we're playing these new chords, we definitely don't want a death grip, okay? Squeezing the living daylights out of the guitar, because that's what really fatigues our hands and wrists and things. So what you really need to do when you're playing something like this is constantly check in with yourself to make sure you're only pressing hard enough for the actual chord to sound, all right? So we got bass, brush, bass, brush, bass, brush. Nice clear sound, all the strings are sounding, right? So before you start this, you want to check, are they all working? Yeah, they sound good, right? So we can... And then once you're kind of happy with that, then you can start trying to transition to the other chords. Alright, because as we know, transitioning in itself is a skill, right? So we got the A chord now we're bringing in. Okay, and then when we move to the E minor section, we got 6/4, remember? And to the A, we know it's 5, and then the F sharp minor, 6/4. And then back to the 5/6 with the B minor. And we do that very, very slowly. It probably won't be able to do it quite as quickly as that as you're starting. But just remember that it's all about consistency. And if you can pick it up each day and enjoy what you're doing, then you're going to arrive. And very often, it's actually the journey which is enjoyable. We often associate and tend to think it's the end result. But if you can enjoy the journey, then, you know, it's a win-win, because, you know, you're going to be enjoying that process of learning the song. It will go in a whole lot better. And then when you arrive, you know, you get that sense of completion. So it's kind of really nice way to go with it, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what's happening with this lick, all right, in a little bit more detail. And essentially, we're fretting a B minor, and we play open first, hammer on to the 2nd fret, all on the bottom string. So we've got then 4th string, and we play. So what we're doing is we're playing that 2nd fret 1st string and pulling off, and then going up onto the 2nd string 3rd fret, and then playing the 4th string again. And then to finish the lick, we just play the 3rd string, which is on the 4th fret. So in its entirety, what we have is, all right, so that's that 3rd string, 4th fret. Very often what's important is to kind of hear what's happening. And what I'm trying to do with this song in particular is I'm trying to help you with retaining information as well. Okay, so we have this. Okay, and that's tabbed out for you. Now, like I say, the way I would approach this song is to get very, very fluent with the rhythm. And then once you can do that, start gradually trying to incorporate that lick, because it is a little bit tricky, if I'm being honest. And so it may take a little bit of time. But like I say, if you can see it as fun rather than being frustrated, you'll kind of get there a whole lot quicker, right? And so just to finish with, I'm going to play you one verse, nice and slow, so you can see where the licks fall, where the chords fall, and remember that you can always count your way through these things, and it really does help pull the arrangement together and help you know where all the chord changes happen. Now, of course, I've done a chord arrangement for the song, which shows you where all the chord changes happen. I've also tabbed out the actual main lick for you, all right, and I've also put into the arrangement where that lick falls and how many times you play it, because it varies throughout the arrangement. Okay, so that's all covered. But like I say, try and see how much of this you can retain, because it will really help develop you as a musician if you can start doing that a little bit more. All right, so let me go real nice and slow, play this for you. All the clarity of dream, the sky so blue, the grass so green, the rank and file and the navy blue, the deep and strong, the straight and true. So there you have it, guys. I hope that you found that helpful. You should have everything you need there to learn the song. And like I say, if you're a beginner, there are still things that you can take away from this. You know, I'd also really like you to share your experiences with me of this lesson and how you found it, because it really is great to hear back from you, and that really does help shape how I do the lessons and, you know, what lessons I do and things of that nature. So please, if you have the time, share those experiences with me down below. It'd be great to hear back from you. And I look forward to seeing you very soon with another lesson. And in the meantime, you take care.